Hi guys. So my name is Tyler Deaton. I am here at High Marks as our ADHD-academic coach. I work with kids one-on-one who have been documented with ADHD or learning difference. I have around 40 kids that I work with weekly, and we work on things that aren't their strongest points. It might be taking tests, study skills, homework strategies, remembering to write your homework down, staying focused. I had one kid come in here the other day who was like, I cannot for the life of me stay focused in class. What do I do? So I gave her some strategies that we can use to kind of learn how to refocus in class. So my goal here today, I want to speak to you as your kid. I want you to look at me and kind of envision your kid's face, because I've been diagnosed with ADHD. I graduated in May, so I just got done being a student in college, so I'm a pro at it by now. And I want to speak from the kid's point of view. I want you to understand why I have so much trouble doing this, that, and whatever else. Specifically, we're going to talk about homework tonight. So we're going to talk about why it's so hard for your ADHD child to get homework done and turned in. I mentioned I was diagnosed with ADHD. I was diagnosed in the 5th grade. I've been on many medications, so I know the medication game and how much it is really not fun. And I kind of have ADHD to every extreme. You can tell I'm moving around right now. I can't stand still. I'm very fidgety. I can't stay focused. I'm very impulsive. That's calmed down with age, but ask my mother. It was not like that when I was younger, and I was really hyper. And you can still get me wound up super easily. Sometimes kids come in here and I'm like, I'm a teacher, focus. It can be hard sometimes because they're all so much like me that I have to refocus or go sit by one of them. So I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing right now? So you're going to notice throughout this that I'm going to say we a lot. I'm going to say us a lot, and that's because I really want you to kind of view me as a student in high school right now who's telling you why I struggle. So there's two things. Why missing assignments were so frequent, and why I could get, or how I could get an assignment complete, but it would not get turned into the teacher. Starting with why missing assignments were so frequent. School was not something that was easy for me to grasp. Lunch, perfect. School, not so much. I often show kids, I've got my transcript from high school and my transcript from college, and I often show it to them to show, hey, I'm standing here in front of you today, but I got under a 3.0. I failed 4 of my 5 classes first semester of college. We're not that much different. This is how I moved past it. As I said, I have a hard time sitting still and staying focused. Imagine if you have to constantly moving like I am right now, but you have to sit in a desk all day from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and not move. You have to take notes down. Well, that not moving made my brain move. So I couldn't sit there and physically stay still. So my brain was constantly like, what's that? What's that? Oh my gosh, there's a paperclip. Let's pick it up. Let's unfold it. Class is done. I have no idea what just happened. So there's 3 reasons I avoid homework. One is what I just said, or goes with what I just said. I didn't know how. I didn't know how long, and I was unmotivated. Let's start with I didn't know how. I mentioned that I was unfolding my paperclip in class instead of focusing on what the teacher was saying, and that's because, like I said, I have to move around. So my brain, because I'm sitting still, my brain is what's moving around. So give your kid a fidget. Maybe it's like a stress ball. Whatever is not going to be more distracting. Some kids we've talked about, stress balls will be just fine. They just need something to play with. Some kids will take that and just chuck it across the room, and before we know it, they're in trouble for what we thought was going to help. So you've got to kind of play with it. But fidgets help. It helps calm the brain down so that you can focus on what the teacher's saying. The student that came in earlier this week, I told her, I said, I want you to just stare at the teacher the whole class. It's like, if she thinks it's weird, just don't worry about it. Just stare at the teacher, because at least she's staring at what's happening. That's step 1 in learning to refocus. After we kind of are able to look at the teacher and not even realize it, step 2, we write down word for word our notes. We say, okay, the teacher just said da-da-da-da-da-da. We're going to write that down. And I say, if you don't catch it all, just keep going, because it's teaching you to take in what the teacher's saying. And then before you know it, you've got notes that are a lot better than before. So I didn't know how. So I'm playing in class with my paperclip. I get home. I either didn't write my homework down, so I didn't know I had homework, or I did, but because I was so distracted in class, I couldn't sit there and get it done because I had no clue what it was and how to do it. So the best thing for that is just, if you're here at Catholic, give High Marks a call. Email the teacher, as Ms. Larkey said. Just keep in communication and be like, hey, this is what happened. Can we get a summary of class? Can we do like one-on-one after school one day? Hire a tutor, whatever it might be. But let me warn you, tutoring wasn't my thing either. Because even though it was one-on-one, I still couldn't sit there and focus on what he was saying. Because I hadn't taught myself the stare at what they're saying, then start taking in what they're saying. So it's a process for kids who can't focus. Second, I didn't know how long. I was sitting here watching them give their speech, and I'm last, so I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have all this time to wait, and I have a big digital clock on my computer, and I kept watching minutes go by, and I'm like, why is it not 7 o'clock yet? Like, come on, let's go. Well, I can't read that clock. I don't know what kind of clock that is. I can't read it. I've never been good at it. If I have that clock, if I have a watch, I have to say, is it morning or afternoon? Okay, big hand, little hands pointing to this. Well, this makes more sense. Because I don't know which is the hour. Like, I have to think through it that I don't have enough time to do that. Then you've got a digital clock. Well, I can see that, but if you tell me, I want you to sit down for 20 minutes and do homework, and it says it's 6:38, I can't do the math in my head to say how much more time I've got, 20 minutes. So that's where timers come in. Every phone should have some sort of a timer. You set it for 20 minutes, and it's counting down. So you can literally see I have this much time left. One thing I'm starting to do with our kids is give them 20 minutes to work on whatever homework they have. You get a 5-minute break. Every kid needs a brain break. You get a 5-minute break, then you're back to work for 20 minutes. And this whole time they've got a clock that's counting down so they can see exactly how much time they have left. It's hard for us to tell how much time has passed. We sit there and we say, okay, I'm going to do this for 15 minutes, but we're looking at the clock every minute because we don't know what 15 minutes really feels like. And that's another area that a countdown clock will help you. It's going to help you understand how long. So if they've got a math assignment, you say, okay, sit down for 20 minutes and let's see how much we get done. They might realize, oh my gosh, this is done, whereas before they thought, this is going to take me 2 hours, I'm not doing this. So that's where clocks come in, and that's where it really helps you. If you can sit there, kids don't want to do the homework because they don't know how long it's going to take. So you have to have a timer so that they can kind of get a feel for, this is how long this takes, this is how long this takes, this is what 15 minutes feels like. Same with papers. Papers, I don't think I ever did one in high school that wasn't late. Because I was like, this is going to take me forever. Like she said, I wasn't good at pen to paper. And at the time, we didn't know that there were all these other things I could do to say into your phone. Or that we didn't have those, really. It was just coming around. And so I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm done. I'm not turning the paper in. I'll take the 0, and I'll find some excuse for why I didn't do it. Take the grounding. So we sit there, and how I taught myself was by the stopwatch, and with papers, I would break it down. So there's so many things that go into not getting homework done, like I didn't know how because I wasn't paying attention in class because I can't focus very well, and I didn't know how long because I have no sense of time, and I still don't. I was sitting here the whole time like, okay, turn, and it's like 30 seconds and it hasn't turned. But last I want to get to, I was unmotivated. I wasn't lazy, I was unmotivated. And I was unmotivated because I would work so hard to get all my homework in and to study for a test, and then I would fail the test. And that made my grade a D. And I was like, why? What's the point of me trying so hard if I'm just going to get a D anyway? And it's hard for high school kids to understand that. And I didn't get an understanding of that till college. It's hard because you try so hard and you want to do so well, but you can't. You can't please your parents. Parents are upset. Why do you have this missing assignment? Well, I didn't know how to do it. Why didn't you know how to do it? So this is why I'm talking to you today. I want you to understand why we might be unmotivated, what's going through our head. What I like to tell my kids who seem to be unmotivated because they struggle so much is grades don't matter. I'm standing in front of you today I got about a 2.7 in high school, a 2.7 in college. I failed multiple classes in college, but I'm here with a job. Grades don't matter, your work ethic matters. And if you are a kid with ADHD or a learning difference and you struggle with anything, you will have a harder work ethic and a better work ethic than any kid who can just take a test and not even study the night before. And it's hard to get kids to understand that, especially teenagers. You're like, hello, like there's a world in front of you. But like we don't see that. We can't see that far. We see right now what's happening. So it's just the more you can express that to them, and the more you can say, okay, your grade's an F, but you got everything in, and I know you studied for that test. It's okay. We'll do better next time. It is okay. The better they're going to feel about things, because we try really hard and we give it the best we can, but it's not always possible for us. So that's why here today I like what I do, and I feel like I'm good at what I do, but I'm only good at what I do because I busted my butt in high school, or in college really, not even in high school, to learn how to have a work ethic and do things that are hard and figure out challenges and overcome obstacles that other people don't have to overcome. I'm going to talk about how an assignment can get complete but not turned in. She mentioned earlier, you say, we did that math assignment last night together. What happened? Organization was not my strong suit, and it's not most of our kids' strong suit. I want you to think about, everybody's kind of got that junk drawer where people are coming over, you put everything away, but you've got all this stuff left, so you just shove it into a drawer. Well, that's what we do with our binders and our lockers and our books. You know that the batteries go in the garage, and that the pencils go on the desk, and that the paper goes with the printer. You know where everything goes, but you're in such a rush that you just throw it all in there. Well, we know that history goes behind the history tab, but by the time class is over, it's not hole punched. And I'm like, what do I do? So you shove it in binder real fast, and then you get home, and you're like, I left it at school. And then before you know it, you've got a binder full of papers falling out, or no papers at all because you've lost them all. Well, that's how stuff gets lost from home to school, is the organization just isn't there. So they put their stuff in, like shove it in their binder at home, and then it's fallen out somewhere in the process of getting to class. So to help organization, it really takes a step-by-step process. You really have to say, okay, like what I do with our kids is I say, okay, let's take this table, let's put math here, science here, separate it by subject, and then let's go through and hole punch it. Now let's put it in our binder. I have to do step by step and walk them through every step so that they realize like how to do it on their own. And then I slowly take steps away. I'm like, okay, you know how to get started. Go ahead and get started, and I'll come help you. So now I want to move on to communication. My mom's in the back, and you can ask her. We had no communication in high school, or she tried, and I was like, Mom, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I'll do this on my own. She was like, well, it looks like you're not doing very good at that because you've got 5 missing assignments in this class. I was like, I'll figure it out. I'm sure you guys get this a lot. We want to be on our own because a lot of kids our age in high school get that privilege of starting to have their freedom. And we don't have that luxury because we do struggle in school, and our parents are constantly wanting to check in and say, hey, what's going on? How did this go? What do you need help with? So on and so forth. But we want to figure it out on our own. The best thing you can do is talk to your kid. Say, hey, how do you want to communicate about school? Because you have to communicate. And kids know that, they just don't want to. Because, again, they want to be on their own. So how do you communicate together throughout the school year? What do you want to do? Ms. Larkey mentioned a plan. Say, okay, you come to me with a plan, and let's do that. And let's follow that for the rest of the semester. Say it. On Wednesdays, we check RenWeb. We go over what you're doing, what tests are coming up. You give me your plan. That's it until next Wednesday. Or she mentioned 10 minutes after school, give me the rundown on what's going on. That's it. Say, hey, how do you want to do this? What do you want to do? Give them a little bit of what they're going to feel is freedom and deciding on their own what they want to do. The more you do that, the more that they're going to sit there and they're going to want to communicate because they feel like they're in charge of something. However, if your child's like me, that will not work. You will not want to do that, and I will still be like, hey, listen, get out of my business. So what do you do? What do you do when your kid doesn't want to talk to you? That's where a third party is great. You don't want to make school the stressor between your relationship, like it was for my family. And back then, we didn't have a lot of options because ADHD was still kind of a new and up-and-coming thing. No one really knew like what exactly it was. So we didn't have that option of a third party. So I'd get home, it'd be a fight. I think I was grounded all of high school. Yeah, it was rough. You can go talk to my mom afterwards. But so what do you do? Well, if you're at Catholic and you're in high marks, we can be the third party. I had a parent the other day working with her kid, and she was like, hey, I'm waving my white flag. He is all yours. I said, okay, sweet. All of his missing assignments are in. They're done. He just wanted to feel like he was on his own and could do it on his own. And so, I mean, even though they're not in RenWeb, I just shoot an email and say, hey, these are done. I've seen them. Problem solved. And that kind of takes away a little bit of stress at home. If you know you've got someone else your parents are communicating to. If you're not at Catholic or you're not in high marks, you can look for a tutor who might be willing to do that. You can look for an ADHD coach. There are a couple here in town. You can look for an academic coach, kind of whoever you can find that fits the criteria of helping your child stay organized, learn how to better areas they aren't great at, and communicating between the two of you, kind of being the mediator. So we're fortunate here at Catholic because we do have high marks. We do have 3 of us, which really there's like 5 of us, who can be kind of the in-between between parent and kid, keep home life a little bit easier. So that's why I love working here. I'm like, you, kid, don't want to talk to your mom. Parents want to know everything. Here's me. Let me see what I can do. So that's kind of it for today.